Hi everybody, Phil Mowat from Ashtons Franchise Consulting here. Today I'm with Richard Chambers from Get a Drip. So thank you for spending the next 20 minutes or so with us, Richard.
That's no problem. It's good to be here.
Excellent.
That is.
Yeah. So we're going to have a conversation really about your franchise, Get a Drip, the progress that you've made to date so far, and your thoughts on franchising. My first question, what does Get a Drip do?
So it's sort of in the name a little bit. So we do vitamin drips and vitamin injections. So we have a series of clinics across London where we deliver the vitamin drips and injections via nurses and doctors. We also do a bit of diagnostic testing as well, so DNA testing and blood testing. So really checking what vitamins your body needs and then deliver them direct to your bloodstream. There's a lot of issues around absorbing nutrients and vitamins from your gut. A lot of people might absorb as little as 5%, 0% from any oral supplements or from the food they're taking. So with what we do, we deliver 100% of that into the bloodstream in a form that your body can just absorb without any effort.
Fabulous. And when was the business established?
So we opened our first mobile clinic on wheels in October 2017. And then before that, there's a few years worth of research and development before we actually launched our first clinic.
Excellent. And have you ventured outside the M25 yet, or are you still just London based?
So we're still London based. A lot of the decision to franchise actually came when we were deciding whether to expand ourselves outside of London or whether to franchise. And that is essentially what drove the decision. We were expanding and decided actually we're just going to stick to London and we'll franchise everywhere else.
Okay. So all of the London units are company owned, and then you're selling franchise opportunities outside of London.
So we sell them inside London as well. So we've got 3 main clinics. Fourth one's actually opening in September. So we're going to have 4 owned clinics in London. And what we've done is we've built different examples, the same branded shop, but different types of shops. So a full clinic, a pop-up clinic, as in like within a concession stand or something similar like that, and different types of fit out budgets as well. So one will be to a top end finish, one will be to a more economical finish. They all look the same, but we've developed 4 different types of clinics across London. And then we actually we have 3 mobile franchisees. One is based in Essex and 2 of them are actually based in London as well.
Okay, so it sounds as though you've got something for everybody in terms of investment levels and maybe commitment and the style of the work that the franchisee wants to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we spent a lot of time with Ashtons discussing what type of franchisees we were going to launch. But yeah, so we've got mobile franchisees. This might be a medical professional, someone that offers Botox or other aesthetic stuff locally and in areas. So we've mapped out the UK. So in areas that aren't city centres, that probably tend to be more mobile people. Concessions is an aesthetic clinic adding in our clinic to their clinic, so a branded area that's then Get a Drip, and then you've got full clinic option, which is the full full whistles.
Yeah. So that sounds as though that was probably quite a lot of development work. How long did you work with Ashtons for?
So we first met Ashtons in 2018. We then both went away. It was too early for us to franchise. So then after that, we worked with them for about. Well, we still work with them now. So we've retained Ashtons ongoing to advise us, and we used Ashtons Legal as well. So we still speak to Ashtons Legal, but about a year worth of pre-work, I'd say.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. It often happens with clients that I work with as well. It's we have a conversation, we do a plan, and we go, right, you're not ready yet. Give it 6 months, or go away and do this work for 9 months. Get yourself in a better position, and then come back, and then we can carry on. Like you would have heard Richard say, it's important not to rush it. It's important to do things in the right way. So good to hear. And why did you choose that franchising model? Why didn't you just go out and do it yourself?
Exponential growth, short answer. But also franchisees are more likely to run a business better than I could get a manager to run a business. So if I'm based in London, I know London. We've been here, we know how it works. Whereas Manchester, I don't. So even traveling to Manchester, there's a toll of how's that operationally going to work. And we have a pool of nurses in London, but we don't have a pool of nurses in Manchester. So then how you manage that. And that's just Manchester. If you then went across to other parts of the globe, then having someone that's local and has skin in the game is going to yield much better results than someone that hasn't. And obviously franchisees can then deploy their capital to expand as well. So exponential growth and sort of the ability of the franchisees.
Fantastic. And I heard the word global there. So you've got global plans, have you?
Yeah, so we opened Ireland, Dublin. So we've had a bit of issues with COVID, so in lockdown. So Dublin was due to open at the end of 2020. Ireland went into lockdown, but they're open now. So that's Ireland. We've got the Netherlands. They've signed. So we're just signing off locations at the moment. And then we've had 100. We get about 100 applications a month, but there's about 12 in the pipeline, and some are in the UK, some are overseas as well.
Fantastic. So are they people that are buying overseas? Are they buying a country, a master, and then?
So we're not doing master at the moment. So just because we can manage it the way we've built the business, we can manage it from the UK, even if overseas everything's paperless, everything's online.
Yeah.
So we will trial a country with one store, and if that works well, we'll then move on to an area developer sort of agreement. We generally have a handshake saying once we've found a really good person for a country, we'll let them have a go at that country first before we then look for someone else for that country.
Excellent. And what's the end game look like? What's going to be the situation in 10, 15 years?
Oh God, I don't know. At the rate we're going, I assume we'll be across a multitude of countries, and definitely in 5 years, the developer agreements would expect somewhere like Ireland to have 5 or 6 clinics at least. We're also going to start manufacturing our own products, so hopefully bring the cost down massively for franchisees, and also control that quality of product as well.
That's such an important word in franchising, control. It's what we tell all of our clients. It's one of the most important things in a nice way, of course.
Yeah, exactly. I think the worry is always about brand as well. So our biggest worry going into it is protecting the brand. So we get so many applications, and only 1% maybe of that will make it through. And then when they do, we're still really protective on brand, whether it's like how the customer service in the shop, following the processes, procedures, info, like social media is massive, make sure they're all consistent, right wording. So yeah, brand has always been a bit
yeah, it's just one bad text or one bad word can ruin it for everybody, can't it?
Yeah, just not being consistent. If you have a set of colors and themes and logos, and people are doing all different posts on different Instagrams, it just doesn't look. I always think of someone like Starbucks or McDonald's, all the big names, where it just looks consistent across their social medias. So everywhere you go, you get the same service. Yeah,
that's franchising. So you talked about getting 100 leads in every month. Are you advertising on the portals, or what's your recruitment strategy?
No, so actually what the thing that actually made us think let's franchise is we were getting tons of leads from big successful franchisors as well, just asking. They'd walk past the shop and say, I love the idea, can we franchise it? So that's originally what got us thinking about franchising, and then that's grown. So most of the leads are organic, and if they're not organic, then they might be from somewhere like Google Ads. There's a page on our website, people land on it, it gives you information, and that's what generates the leads. We looked at overseas in one country. We looked at using a recruiter for that country, but actually the person we ended up signing, it's Holland, the person we ended up signing the Netherlands, I think they're officially called now. And the person we ended up signing actually came through naturally anyway. So even though we'd retained a recruiter, so we haven't found the need to do that. We also put our clinics in like prime positions: Westfield London, Canary Wharf Mall, Westfield Stratford, Box Park. We put them in really prime retail sites, so it gives that exposure as well. A lot of people see it passing by our clinics.
Yeah, I think a lot of my clients at the moment, they're just using social media, and they're getting great results from it. Really, really targeted adverts, really targeted in terms of locations that they're going for. And they're getting the leads and the quality come through. So it's great for them because it's fairly low cost. So
yeah, I think social media, because we're such a new concept, and people sometimes grasp vitamins, IV drip, what? so I think for us it's more people see it and then they go, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And I think probably our strongest leads are from walking past Westfield today and saying, I want to do one of those in my country, and I don't want to miss out. I want to be the first mover.
Excellent. Okay, so thinking about Ashtons, why did you pick Ashtons to work with?
I can't. To be honest, we met. So in 2018, we met 3 consultants, and when we spoke with Nick, he was the best one we spoke to. I can't remember the specifics of why. Just very credible. You've got everything under one roof. Nick, when I spoke to Nick, he knew what he's talking about, the more so than I thought the others that I spoke to. So that was initially why. But I guess in hindsight is everything's under one roof. So we use Ashtons Legal, we use Ashtons itself as well, consulting, and all of it's under one roof. Any questions just flows fluidly between back and forth, because there's always going to be there's always adjustments constantly, as I guess people will find out when they franchise. But there's loads of tiny little adjustments, and having that all in house just makes it so much easier.
Yeah, the communication lines are good. And you talked about you met with Ashtons and then you went away and then you came back to us having done some work. What was that work that you needed to do?
Just proof of concept. So we had to get a drip store. We had, I think, 1 store. So we started with a mobile van to get a drip, just to prove concept it worked. And within 6 months, we were into Box Park. And within 6 months of that, Westfield approached us and we were in Westfield. So we had 2 stores up and running. We'd raised funds already. And it's getting a trading history and proving that it's something that's scalable.
Okay. So that would have been nice.
Systems were more in place. So all our systems have always been, so we built it bottom up. So all our systems are paperless. They can be accessed, like they're on cloud. Lots of people within the team can access. So we built everything to be as automated and easy as possible. Like stock automatically links to the till, automatically links to the warehouse. All of that stuff was done. So a lot of places might not have that in place, whereas we already had that in place, and it just proves the concept.
Okay. So it would have been nice to have Westfield approach you. I presume you got a good deal from them, did you? Yeah,
well, main landlords, we get 1 or 2 a week approach us. So the way the retail sector is at the moment, obviously the high street, as they say, reading papers, the high street's dying, and retailers are looking to bring a new type of service that's going to draw people to why do if I can buy that dress online, why am I going to go, or shoes, whatever it is, why am I going to go to Westfield to buy it? So they want these services that are sort of in-person services that you would have to go to store for. So a lot of retailers, it's not just Westfield, a lot of like Hammerson's, all the big names sort of approached us. So.
Yeah, they're very much experience-led destinations now, aren't they? So
yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
And at Westfield, at Stratford near me, you can get your vaccination done, and you can give blood plasma as well. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's loads of you definitely see. I think so Westfield want to roll us out across all of their 50 EU shopping centres, and they want us to be one of the flagships in their new health and wellness areas they're building. So what you'll see is every Westfield, I think they're starting with the one in Netherlands, the Mall of Netherlands, and then there's the Gloria Centre in Barcelona. So those are the first 2. They're transforming a whole new wellness centre. But what you'll start to see is every Westfield start having this health and wellness hub, and there'll be like gyms in there, boxercise, you'd have like drips, you'd have consult, all these sort of services will be there. So they're sort of building that in. But for us as franchising, it's great. We can literally say, if there's a Westfield in your country, we've got an agreement with them.
Yeah, fantastic. That sounds really exciting. What was the most complex thing about franchising process?
Deciding for us, it was deciding on the type of franchisee. So originally we said, right, we're only going to do mobile, and we'll just do boost. So vitamin drip, the actual IV drips can be quite complicated. So we thought, right, if we want to test this properly, let's just do the injections first of all, and do a load of mobile franchisees. So we started with something like that. And then a lot of people were like, actually, I don't want to do it unless I can do the drips and the boosters. And sort of we're like, actually, no, let's do mobile boosters and drips. And then it was like a lot of clinics started asking, actually, no, we want to bring it in-house. So then went, let's do concession. And then before we knew it, we're like, well, what? So we went round and round in circles, deciding on the type of franchise we were going to offer, and then trying to stick to that. But in reality, I think it's the hard thing to do, because you might say, we're going to do it this way, and then we're going to stick to that. And then you make launch, and then 3 months later, you're like, actually, we've learned we should probably do it this way.
Yeah. Sounds complicated. I'm sure there was quite a few complicated financial illustrations along the line as well.
Yeah, Richard Landrick's probably done enough of our films to last him a lifetime.
Very good. what's been your experience of beginning to recruit franchisees? You talked about people coming to you organically and a bit of Google advertising, but did you have to have lots of conversations in order to get to the golden nuggets, the good people? Or
yeah, so actually what we've done is I manage sort of Get a Drip, the clinics, Get a Drip franchise, and then the pharmacy part of the business. I actually don't get involved in recruitment, and I never did at the beginning. We have one of our clinic managers who's also a doctor, who really wanted to he really said, actually, this is really my cup of tea. I really want to do this. So he moved into that, and he initially did all the recruitment. And yeah, so he went through all the old leads that applied to us before. But yeah, it's a lot. You've got to drill down a lot, and the way you set it up is you don't want to give too much information too soon, because if you've got a good franchisee that's really willing to do it, then you'll build out that relationship with them, and you'll take time to do your due diligence. It's always a bit of a worry when people are just trying to go, oh, I want to do it, I want to do it here, I want to do it now, quick. Like, well, hang on a minute, we need to do our due diligence. We're going to something that is a minimum of a 5-year at least, and probably could be 10 or 15-year agreement. You just don't want to just go charging at it. So yeah. But at the same time, because it's exciting, you've got to sort of just you go running at it, and then you just got to pull yourself back a bit.
Yeah, no, it's that's definitely our advice from Ashtons. It's taking your time, giving them the right information at the right time, not giving too much away that they're going to say no without even talking to you. So it's an art, isn't it? So I think the most frustrating thing is sometimes the sheer quality of quantity of leads that you have, and having to make the phone calls and send the messages and send the emails just to get through to people. So and the next door dog's barking, if you can hear that.
Well, I've got a dog, but luckily she's not barking today.
Probably chasing my cat. So
yeah. With our leads, we had a massive whiteboard, and we defined the flow chart process a million times. Like, we just kept changing it, because before we launched, we wanted to have it as automated as possible. So basically, everyone goes on the website. Doesn't matter where the lead comes from, they get sent to the website, and everyone fills out the same form. Then that form comes through. We've got we've got 3 people full time in our franchise team as well. So we put the team there before we needed it to make sure we're ready to roll. So we'll make sure they then initially go through all the applications, and then they all get, and then if they obviously meet all the criteria and it's not just spam or just something that's very unlikely to happen, they then have a 30-minute initial meeting, and then after that, they will go away. And our franchise manager will go away, and either it might be a no from us, it might be a yes from them, we want to go to the next steps. So then in that case, we then give them more information. NDAs are signed, we might give them the FIM at that point, and then there's normally a lot of questions back and forth, but it's about 1% conversion rate, which is, I think we're 1.2%, something like that. So it's 1 in 100 you should expect. I think that's about industry standard as well.
Yeah, that's been the industry standard for a few years now, so it'd be interesting. It's interesting to hear that from you as well. So, okay, fabulous. Well, it sounds like you've got a very automated, systemized business. So, yeah, you've got
probably
may not feel like it sometimes, but
yeah.
Okay. And then talking more about being a franchisor. So, what's your background before you got into this?
So originally, civil engineering at uni. So I was a civil structural engineer for a bit. Then I joined PwC when I finished uni, graduate scheme. So I did a few years in audit with PwC, with some huge firms, obviously, with some huge clients. And then I moved across to the deals department. So I worked on some big deals. So I had a lot of good finance experience. But I'm a type 1 diabetic, which is more what drove my need for this business, was just because my immune system's rubbish and I'm always run down and tired. Having oral supplements doesn't really do it for me. So then I was looking at what drips there were, tried out some, they were really good, but they're so expensive. When we first came to market, there were thousands of pounds upwards of the same drip that we offer now. And so it's more like that. I had the background of PwC, but it's more my personal need that drove the business itself. Yeah,
well, great story. So, and what's it like being a franchisor? Because being a franchisor is completely different to running the day-to-day business, for example.
Yeah, your day-to-day business is constantly, it's a bit like keeping the engine, like spinning plates. Like with your own day-to-day business, you've got to keep lots of plates spinning. There's lots of like small operational stuff. We have operational managers, head of operations and stuff now, but there's still lots of smaller bits that happen on a day-to-day basis. That's running a business. As a franchisor is not like that. Obviously, we've got all that learning. You're still, every day, any business that runs is going to have small issues. Be it your local Subway, 5 things might happen in a day that might go wrong or whatever. But being a franchisor, it's not so much dealing with those smaller issues. It's just like the overall strategy. So you spend much more time on strategy, thinking through locations where you're going to be, spending lots of time on the FIM, readjusting the FIM, on legal agreements, and relationships and communication. So keeping those relationships with the franchisees and then working with them to build it out. Because, for example, they'll open one clinic, then they want to open more. So it's keeping that relationship with them. So it's very different. It's sort of like, it's a more longer term, takes a bit more thinking, a bit more strategy than your daily sort of operational type business.
Yeah, because some franchisors call their franchisees franchise partners, don't they, to give them that feeling that we're all in it together. So it's very much a mutual relationship.
Yeah. So we brought in a dedicated development manager. So we've actually got a development manager that actually sits and that builds them out. So they've got, every week they have one-to-ones with their development manager. You've also got a franchise manager, and then we've got an administrator as well. So all of the processes are sort of managed. And the way we've got communications channels, a lot of our doctors and nurses and warehouse and back-end team will sit on these communications channels. So it's almost like they're built into our own practice. So like they're treated like one of us.
Brilliant. So what's been your biggest achievement to date?
I think recently Ireland opened their stores. So to have your first clinic overseas already is really good. And they smashed their first month of trading, even though they're still in like partial lockdown. So I think having your first clinic overseas is definitely the biggest achievement today as far in terms of franchising. And
the biggest challenge?
It's managing franchisees is a bit like when you're a boss and you have your staff. Someone's always going to have an issue or a problem that needs resolving, and it might not be through their own fault, but there's always going to be someone or something be it they're not necessarily not unhappy, but there's something they need to solve, and so there's always an issue that needs to be solved. So you might say, oh, this month all the franchisees are great, and then next month, oh, so and so we need to fix this problem, next month so and so. So it's always, you sort of, as soon as you put one fire out, there's another one. But it's the same as running it's very similar to having employees. As soon as there's if there's an issue with one, if that's all good, I've sorted, they're really happy here now, and then the next month there's someone else. So it's sort of similar. Yeah,
but you've got the advantage that franchisees can share best practice and ways to get over worst practice, maybe, so they can learn from each other as much as they can learn from you. So
it's a careful balance between, you want them to do as well as they can, but also then make sure they're following processes, procedures, and branding. So you don't want to, if they're not following that, but they're having a really bad month, you then want to make sure you're not just hammering them all the time. You want to pick them up and then be a bit lenient where you need to be, but then also be a bit harsher when you have to.
My final question, or 2 questions. So what's your best tip for any new potential franchisor out there?
Map it out with a consultant. We've got so we've seen other, because when we were going to go, we're thinking, do we just get a loan, do we do it with a consultant, because you're weighing up, like, do we just go at it, we create a legal agreement and go for it? But we looked at competitors out there, and Ashtons Legal said their documents weren't worth the paper they're written on. So then we're like, well, now we know we're going for our BFA accreditation, we expect to hopefully get it this year, and we know what we've built is good. Worked, and definitely with some of the stuff challenges we've had, if we had not done all that legwork at the beginning, like a year's worth of background work just to launch the brand. Once we took Ashtons on, we then spent a year going through absolutely everything. Had we not done that, we wouldn't be where we are. So you definitely need a consultant. As soon as you're going to you're going to franchise, bring them on. The later you leave it, they're just going to go and unpack all the work you've done anyway. So.
I'll put that check in the post. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Keep that backlink up.
And so my final question: what does the future look like?
Many more stores. So lots of stores, just growth really. We're sort of, our aim at GetDrip is sort of improve everyone's health and wellness with the new what we see as like the future of doing things. And our aim is just to make that accessible to as many people as possible. So just growth. I'm not a greedy person. Don't really not in it for my own financial gain. I want the business to do really well and expand globally and everyone to come to get a drip. So, so for us, it is just pure focus and growth.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Richard. That's been a great interview. Thank you for your time, and good luck in the future.